important concept. Jobs to be done. Probably not a concept you've heard about before, but something very critical that I want you to really pay close attention to. It's all about customer problem discovery. A few sessions ago, we talked about the innovator's bias and how we want you to really think about it as the innovator's gift, a preconceived notion that you have of a solution, but really focusing on what problems are worth solving. Your superpower as a startup entrepreneur is to really understand your customers' problems better than they do. We also talked about new problems worth solving can be discovered by studying how customers use old solutions. The question is, well, how do we really do that? A concept and mindset that we want you to have is thinking about the focus should be on what jobs customers are trying to get done. And that might sound a little strange. What do you mean, what jobs are trying to get done? Well, if you think about it like this, every day, all day, we all hire products and services to get jobs done. We go to the grocery store to get food, to hire the food to satisfy our job of being full, right? Getting hunger satisfied. So we're always hiring products and services to get jobs done. So we need to think about this in a customer perspective. Customers have different jobs to be done. Usually there's 2 or 3 different types. We have the functional jobs to get done, which is, the normal way of using my Hydro Flask to hold liquid so that it stays cold, very functional task. But I also have emotional and social jobs we want to get done. Emotional is how the user wants to feel in a certain circumstance. Maybe I have it because blue is my favorite color, so now I feel happy. Maybe I feel like I'm near the ocean. And I am socially, maybe because I'm perceived as having a high-end Hydro Flask versus some low-end, label. So socially, how we want to be perceived by others. Functionally, what the offering does. Emotionally, how we feel. Could be risk, could be love, could be compliments from our friends. We all have these 3 things as humans that we want to get done as a job. So when we talk to customers, we really need to understand from all 3 angles, functional, emotional, and social, what job someone's trying to get done. Let's go through some examples. Before there was any automobiles, when Henry Ford would have talked to potential customers, if he asked people what they would have wanted, they would have said faster horses, because they don't know what an automobile is. The job they were trying to get done is go faster, get from point A to point B faster. But he also could have had conversations with them around what other jobs do they want to get done. Besides going from their ranch to the general store and getting there quicker, what about wanting to be dry? Because now they're sitting on a horse or in a carriage, maybe it's raining. Also, what about being safe at night? They can't see, the horse might stumble. Or the horse being stolen once they get into town and there's nowhere to tie it up. So all of these are different jobs that he understands the customer needed to get done. They don't need to know anything about this idea of an automobile, but he'll come back later to them and say, oh, you have these problems. I'm going to solve it with this new idea I have, and it's called a Model T automobile. Let's look at another example, a real life example with McDonald's. So McDonald's hired a consultant to actually understand why they were selling so many milkshakes. So the consulting firm literally went to McDonald's. They stood outside McDonald's and also inside talking to customers. And what they found is that half the milkshakes that they were selling were sold before 8 o'clock in the morning, which was really strange. And that people were always alone. And that was the only thing they bought, and then they drove off with it. They didn't actually eat it there. So very strange. Why was McDonald's selling so many milkshakes in the morning with these, attributes? The common thinking would have been, well, maybe they're just amazing milkshakes and they have great flavors. Maybe there's a sale. None of those were true. So we want to throw out our assumptions. that we think that we know why customers do what they do. We don't. Most of our assumptions are going to be wrong. We need to gather evidence, understanding what job someone's trying to do by buying a milkshake in the morning. And what they found is shocking. They found that it wasn't bought just because it tasted good. The job that the customers are trying to get done is to be satisfied and keep them full while they were commuting to work. That all these people were commuters, might have had a half hour, an hour drive each way in traffic. They didn't want to have a donut or a bagel, too messy and not safe as you're driving. Coffee might spill and it doesn't really fill you up. So people were buying thick milkshakes to satisfy their craving of hunger while they drive to work. Had nothing to do with how amazing the milkshakes were. So the job was just to satisfy hunger and fill up their stomach. So these assumptions we need to gather evidence and really uncover what job someone's trying to do. Here's our last example about jobs to be done, and this is true for any industry in the world. We want to get to the root cause of why people do what they do. So in this example, do we see any problems with this picture? And I would say right away, yes, there's a hole, there is a mess of sawdust, and there is a drill. And so if I said to you, in this example, the person here wants to just hang a picture, is what they want to do. But the only way they know how to do that is to drill a hole in a wall, put a molly bolt, hang a hook, and then hang the picture on the hook. That's the only way that they know to solve that problem. But if we ask them why that they're putting a hole in the wall and really get to the root cause analysis, it's not just to put a hole in the wall, it's not just to put a hook on the wall, it's to actually hang a painting. Hanging a painting is the job to be done. We then can work backwards and figure out, well, what are other different ways to solve this idea of a job to be done of hanging a painting that might not entail putting a hole in a wall, making a mess, having to buy a drill and a drill bit. If you go to Home Depot or Lowe's right now, you will see a way that this is solved differently. You will see this 3M heavy-duty Scotch tape. It gets the same job done as a drill and a molly bolt. It secures something heavy to a wall. 3M made hundreds of millions of dollars by creating this heavy-duty tape before anybody else. And you will see it in the exact same place that you buy drills if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, because they're doing the same function. So when we think about jobs to be done by the customer, questioning them, here is a visual that you can think about when you're talking to prospects, talking to customers, is what you are the customer down here, and in this model, something's happening that is pushing us to look for a better desired outcome at the top of the mountain. And all of these things in our way are different alternatives. We're evaluating them. What problems exist with those alternatives? And this is a little deeper way of thinking about it. What problems exist with the old way of using our solutions right here, where these rocks represent problems with our current solutions? What's motivating us to find something new? And what solution is pulling us towards it to find a better outcome and a better way to satisfy the job to be done, a new way? This triggering event is really important, and we're going to spend the next couple of sessions talking about it. That is something that has caused us to look for something new. So these are types of switching triggers. Triggers are pushing us to look for something new, usually because we had a bad experience, a bad meal in a restaurant, bad service from an automobile, whatever it might be. We have a bad experience, the product wasn't good enough, we're looking for something better. Or we've had a change in circumstance. Maybe today you're single and tomorrow you're married with instant family. Or 3, it's awareness. You just didn't know that something existed. Now you've been educated and you're aware of it, and then you see that as a solution. These micro triggers are about us, the individual. There's also macro triggers, things that are happening in the world: war, COVID, new technologies like AI, regulatory changes, things like black swan events like COVID or climate change. So what's happening that's causing your potential customers to look for a better solution? Usually there is a triggering event that is causing them to say, the current way I'm solving this problem and this job to be done is not good enough. I want something better. We'll, in the future sessions here, talk about how do we go about doing that. Hopefully this has helped. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.